in Fort Collins on Wednesday last week, and there were 2 accidents on I-25. It took me 2.5 hours to get there.
Okay. All right, we're going to call to order our Pikes Peak RTA meeting. Our first item of business is the approval of the agenda. Are there any questions on the agenda? I'll take a motion to approve.
Mayor Dixon, I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second, Randy Helms.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
All right. Okay, we have 1 nay. Item number 3, public comment period for items not on the agenda. The public can email general comments or questions regarding the agenda in advance of a meeting to PPACG Office Manager at conference@ppacg.org. Public comment speakers are limited to 5 minutes each, whether in person or via Zoom. Is there anyone who'd like to have any public comment? And anyone on Zoom? Okay. All right, there is no public comments. We'll go to item number 4, the resolution of appreciation for Board Director Lohina Gonzalez Jr. Resolution by the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority Board of Directors acknowledging appreciation to El Paso County Director Lohina Gonzalez Jr., December 11th, 2024. Whereas El Paso County is a member government of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority, and whereas Lohina Gonzalez Jr. served as a commissioner for El Paso County from January 2017 until January 2025 and served on the Pikes Peak RTA board from January 2017 until January 2025. And whereas Lohina Gonzalez Jr. has served the citizens of El Paso County and the Pikes Peak region with distinction. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority Board of Directors wishes to acknowledge their deepest gratitude to El Paso County Director Lohina Gonzalez Jr. for his commitment to regional transportation planning and projects, for his wise counsel, and for his dedication to the advancement of the transportation projects of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority. Resolved, approved, and adopted by the Board of Directors of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority this 11th day of December 2024 at Colorado Springs, Colorado. Holly Williams, Chair, Board of Directors, and Rick Sonnenberg, Board Secretary, attested to. Do I have a motion?
Mayor Dixon, I'll move to approve.
And a second?
Randy Helms, second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Now we can roast Commissioner Gonzalez. So we really appreciate, I personally have appreciated having Commissioner Gonzalez on the board, because if I miss something in the agenda, he will note it and he will go after it. From art on bridges to West Colorado Avenue. And which started as a $12 million project and ended up as $35 million. So it's always wonderful to have his wise counsel and his transparency and frugality of tax dollars. So you will be greatly missed. Anyone else? Randy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As just want to thank Lohina Gonzalez for his work that he's done over, at least for the 3.5 plus almost 4 years that I've been on the PPRTA, and mainly to mention as a fellow Academy graduate, I appreciate his continued service to our community like he served his nation. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilmember Avila.
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 I know that's a tough one. So Longinos and I ran for city council in 2015. And as I often say, we didn't lose that. It was a practice run for both of us. So ultimately, he was elected to county commissioner and I to city council. So we've been on the same journey for, I don't know, since 2015. We're going 10 years, right? And so again, I'll just say that we've been on opposite sides of the spectrum, but I think what we've had in common is our commitment and compassion for our district. So I appreciate that. And, but I'm not going to miss you being so corajudo. And you guys can look that up if you care to. But he knows exactly what I'm talking about at times, his passion there. So I don't know what you're going to do, but I think you're going to do something. So take care.
Okay, any other comments? We roasted him pretty good yesterday. So let's go ahead and get a picture and we'll give you your hard hat.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for all the great support, all the staffs, for all the municipalities and county staff as well for all the great work. This is an important job, so I pride myself on the fact that there's only two committees or boards where I spent my entire 8 years on that board, and that was Board of Health in this, and that's because I thought it was so important and important and impactful for our community and my district. And so so I'm actually pleased and thankful to my fellow county commissioners who allowed me to remain on this all 8 years. But yeah, this was one of the two boards where I was able to dedicate all 8 years because of how important it was for me. So thank you.
Photo. Okay, thank you. Item 5A is the approval of the minutes. If there's any, are there any questions on the minutes?
To run with it separately.
Let's do them separately. And or can I do them together, Jennifer? Do them together. So an approval of subcommittee minutes from November 18th, 2024, which was our CAC. We interviewed some CAC members. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Mayor Dixon, I move that we approve both minutes from November 13th and from November 18th.
Second, Carrie Geithner.
Okay. All right. If there's no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those pass unanimously. The Citizens Advisory Monthly Report. Jim. Oh, wait, we have a certificate of appreciation for CAC member Fidel Lee. He is not able to be here. I know he's a very busy person. And so if we could have a motion to accept this, he is leaving the committee. I will entertain a motion to accept this.
Mayor Dixon also move.
And a second.
Second, Randy Helms.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. And then Jim, if we could do your CAC report.
If I may, I'd like to take just a second before I start, just to comment on Fidel.
Mhm.
As the chair mentioned, he joined us at a very transitional time for himself. transitioning to a new job in Department of Homeland Security, and he is he has been extremely busy and out of town a good bit of the year, but he has joined us by video when he can, and he's had good inputs, and we wish him the best and appreciate him taking the initiative to be part of our group. And so I wish Fidel the best. Okay, so on our meeting last week, the city had 12 contracts that came forward. Several of them are on ongoing construction projects, Mark Shuffle Road and Dublin Boulevard and Tejon, and a lot of the others were their on-call contracts with no dollar value to them. We had a few discussions, but no issues, and we recommend approval. Although I did hear a little while ago that there may be some walk-ons for some lane dieting on one of the projects, and maybe on West Colorado Avenue.
He's not listening. He says,
No.
"I already had my no vote. I'm done."
I had to say that. But I would like to say that I'll add at the end my comments on Lojinos. So we recommend approval of the city's projects. We also got an update on the South Academy projects in terms of what they're doing down on the South Academy side. Gail gave us a great update on that, as well as the Powers North reimbursement update. As I mentioned in our pre-meeting, I was a little concerned about the optics of us starting to do RTA 3 projects before we were in RTA, but the way this was put together and the way these were handled is excellent. And I think that we would pass any public review of what we've done. And it allowed us to prevent creating a void in the workflow and get these important projects moving on, whether it's just the environmental part or in some cases the physical work. So I'm very pleased with the way it's turned out. As we go into RTA 3, we've got some projects that are well underway and much needed in the community. So I appreciate the vote of confidence that on those issues. Mr. Helms.
Madam Chair. Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit, only from a very positive point. Living right there on Voyager, where the work has been done and enough has been completed that they've opened the bridge across Voyager there at the Future Powers.
Yep.
And the citizens are really happy about that. So I too think it was well worth the investment and the risk of doing that.
Yeah, and the full disclosure and the discovery of all of this, Gail and Sid have done a great job of keeping the CAC informed to make sure that we knew what was going on and what was happening. So we appreciate that. The other thing we got a review on the North Nevada reimbursement update as well. And you'll get later on, we got a project on the South Academy project, got an update on that. So that was very helpful to see where that is as well. Other than that, I'd just like to thank Commissioner Gonzalez. All kidding aside, you've been here the whole 8 years and I've been here as well. And we can always depend on a frank, and sometimes it needs to be said, and a frank opinion on where you think things are going. But we appreciate your honesty, your input, and your dedication to the group. So thank you very much. Other than that, I have no other comments from the CAC.
Okay, are there any further questions? I will take a motion to approve the CAC report.
Mayor Dixon, I move we approve the CAC report.
I'll second John Graham.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 And I
Any
appreciate
opposed?
your vote of confidence in continuing my participation in the CAC. Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to it. Financial reports, Lisa.
Lisa Corey, Finance Manager for the PPRTA. The sales and use tax sum reporting is for the month of October. We received $13,437,532, which was above our budget by $650,615, and that equates to 5.1%. When we look at October of 24 compared to October of 23, we received $284,948 more this year than we did last year, which is 2.2%. Any questions?
Any questions? Does everyone have a copy of the report? Okay. All right. And we don't do a motion on that one, right? Okay, thank you. If no one minds, can I take the lobbyist Dan Jablan out of order? Dan, are you ready for us? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I am.
Item 11A, legislative report.
Okay, thank you. As you all know, the legislative session is going to be starting up. It will start January 8th and go to May 7th for the 120-day session. I know everyone's familiar with the election results. The Senate stayed exactly the same, 23-12, shuffled a few players. We unfortunately lost Senator Gardner, but we replaced him with Senator Mark Snyder. The Republicans picked up the seat in Adams County that Kevin Briola held with Scott Bright, so that stays the same. There's no supermajority there. And then in the House, under Minority Leader Rose Puglisi's leadership, they picked up 3 seats, which no longer has a supermajority. In the House, it will be 43-22. And I think the thing that's important about that is it shuffles up the committees a good bit to where there will only be a +1 for the majority party, which allows all industries to maybe do a little bit more work in committees. So I think that's going to play really big. We're going to see that this year. I think we have to be hyper vigilant looking for bills that have anything to do with sales tax, monies, any things like that. As you guys know, the JBC is going right now. There is a real scarcity of money, or at least the perception of that, depending on how you do your rounding. The state started about $1 billion in the hole. I know they've already tried to hack millions of dollars out of money going to veterans organizations to give you an indication of what they're looking at. So I just think we have to be hyper vigilant, as we always are. Every year for the last 3 years, I think there's been 1 or 2 bills every year that we've had to respond to. I expect that to happen again this year, if not more so, just because of the budget issues. So I expect it to be a very active session this year, like we have had in years past. So that would be my update, Madam Chair, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions, except for Dan right now looks very relaxed? Okay, thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. And thanks for coming
Very
out.
much.
So have a good day. Okay, so we're going to open the item number 8 is our 2025 budget public hearing and approval of the budget. So I will open the public hearing for the approval of the 2025 budget. Does anyone wish to make comments on the budget as published? Anyone online? No? Okay. So with that, Jennifer, do I close the public hearing? Okay, then I will close the public hearing for the 2025 budget. And unless there's no comments, I will take a motion to approve and appropriate the monies for the 2025. Did I do that wrong?
I'm just a stickler about the budget, so it'd be a motion to approve the 2 resolutions, one of which approves the 2025 budget and the other of which appropriates the funds.
Okay, we will take a motion to approve the 2025 budget first.
So moved, Randy Helms.
Second, Mayor Dixon.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And then we'll take a motion to appropriate the funds for the 2025 budget.
So moved, Brian Risley.
Thank you. And a second?
Second, Mayor Dixon.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we have got a budget going and starting projects on January 1, or continuing a few of them. Okay, we will go on to 9A, the City of Colorado Springs project list.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Gail Sturdivant with the City of Colorado Springs. As Mr. Godfrey mentioned, the city has 12 contracts for your consideration. The first one is for Mark Shuffle Road improvements. This is a PPRTA 3A list. There is a map included in your packet that shows the project limits and the phases. You will see on that map that on the phase it's Mark Shuffle. Really from this next phase is from Tamlin up to Dublin, with phase 3 going from Mark Shuffle to just west of Peterson Road. As we continue construction on this work, we're going to stay with Kramer North America to provide construction services in this area, and we'll be asking for approval of a contract for not to exceed $37.5 million. Of that amount, $1 million will be for Dublin because they are going to be doing some pre-construction work and duck bank activities in that area, with $36.5 million coming from the Mark Shuffle Road project. One stipulation, we did just approve and appropriate the budget, but these funds cannot be expended till the beginning of 2025 when PPRTA funds become available. Did I get that right? I'm going to move on to contract number 2, also for Mark Shuffle Road. Once again, it's PPRTA 3.
Hold on, we've got one question here from Councilmember Avila.
I know we just approved this and appropriated it, but with what's happening on South Academy, and that we don't have a contractor and we don't have really a timeline of when we're going to start and go, to see 37 plus million already for PPRTA 3. And here we are at the end of, way at the end of, well, past the end now, PPRTA 2. It just is a hard pill to swallow in that it's my district again, and that was shut down for over a year, and businesses suffered immensely. And the city did do all that it could with economic development and public works to make those areas more accessible. But now we still don't have a contractor. We don't have a timeline, unless you're going to share that later on. And it seems to follow, as you know, what happens in Southeast is kind of very last on the list. And I remember when I first got on, when I wasn't even understanding everything that was going on, there was a lot of transfer orders going from South of Academy Boulevard to Cimarron to different places. And that didn't sit well, but I was just learning on how these things are happening. And honest, I've been here 8 years and I'm still learning. There's so much I still don't know. But I just, for the board to understand that, I would really like to see something concrete in terms of a contractor and a time that we are finally going to get this happening, and how we are going to really mitigate how the businesses are suffering along that corridor, as well as residents being able to come in and out of there with this least amount of I don't know, not harm, but trouble, difficulty.
Would you like to address it now, or wait till we get to South Academy? Did an update at that point in time? What would you prefer, Council?
We can wait till we get to South Academy. I just wanted to bring it now, just to show the contrast of a PPRTA project that already has the contractor and the money appropriated.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it was important for me to speak now, but we can address that when that comes up.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, let's go on to number 2. I think that's a fair point.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mark Shuffle Road, again, same project limits. This is for a change order to to have construction management services for both phase 2 and phase 3. So basically Mark Shuffle again from Tamlin to Dublin, and then Dublin from Mark Shuffle to the west over towards Peterson Road. It's in the amount of $2,787,806 to Wilson and Company. And I will share that they have a subcontractor basis partners performing some of the work for them, which you'll see in the contract number 3 basis has been associated with the Dublin portion of that work. So contract 3 is another PPRTA project for Dublin Boulevard. The map is also included in your package, and this is for final engineering, basically to have those plans finalized and ready to be able to go to construction here this spring, in the amount of $116,835 to Basis Partners. Contract 4 is for the Tejon Street Revitalization Project. There is a map showing the limits included in your packet. It is streetscaping activities on Tejon between Colorado and Kiowa Street. This is for the construction management services associated with that project in the amount of $811,255 to Felsberg Holt Oliveg, and that would be paid solely right now out of the city's parking enterprise for those streetscaping activities. We did want to bring that contract to PPRTA should PPRTA funds have to be included in the future. The city's 5th contract is for our bridge on-call contracts. The city went through an RFP process last year when we selected 4 contractors. This will be exercising the first option years, establishing the rates for us to be able to use as needed underneath the appropriated funds in 2025. Contract number 6 is to put our on-call guardrail maintenance contract in place. We went through an RFP process this past year. This is to establish the first initial contract, and task orders will be issued in the future based on need and available budget. This is the base year contract, and it would have the ability for 4 option years. Contract 6 is to issue a task order to Lucky Dog Construction as part of the 88 Concrete Program on-call services. This is for construction, and I'll just mention Lucky Dog is one of 6 contractors that do have contracts underneath this program. This would be in a not-to-exceed value of $1,047,000 to address the 3 areas outlined in your memo. Contract number 8, another task order underneath our on-call concrete. This one would be to HCD, and it is to have an on-call contractor available for our cost share concrete program, which is where residents can financially participate in concrete repair work, and the city has this contractor in place to be able to get the best pricing and the quality underneath that program for that work. Contract 9, and I'm going to talk about 9 and 12 a little bit together. 9 is to put a base year contract in place for the crack seal program, and then 12 you'll see later on is for the first task order underneath that contract. But the city has a crack seal program. We went through an RFP process. We have selected 1 contractor right now, Coat Seal Solutions. We are still evaluating 2 of the other 4 proposals that we received. But this is to put a base year contract in place, and we have the ability to add 4 one-year term option years in the future. And I'll talk about the first task order when I get to contract 12. Contract 10 is for 80 accessible cutaway bus contract. The city went through an RFP process to establish pricing for a variety of different ADA accessible vehicles. So we would have purchase prices identified and sourced and established. This is for the first year contract, and there are 4 one-year option years. There is not any purchases being made underneath this. It's just to really establish essentially the menu for buses to be purchased in the future. Contract 11 is for professional on-call services. We will be adding 4 firms to the on-call list These firms bring specialty services that could be beneficial to the city. We want to be able to have the ability to exercise task orders in them, but these initial contracts do not have funds associated with them. And the last one is to issue a task order underneath the crack seal program in a not to exceed value of $1 million to be able to provide crack seal services as requested by the city. And that was an overview of our 12 contracts, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, are there any questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you. So on the Tejon Street with the downtown development revitalization, so there, it says there's no funds currently allocated. So is this not a project? I don't understand why there's not dollars.
So there is no PPRT dollars today. This is only for the construction management services associated with it. Right now, the plan, this project has many funding sources. One of them is from the city's parking enterprise. Right now, our intent is to use those parking enterprise funds to cover the construction management. We brought it to PPRTA because there are PPRTA funds, one associated with the construction, and there may be a need in the future to add PPRTA funds to the project. So we want to make sure that it is a PPRTA form contract if somebody has been reviewed by PPRTA staff and acknowledged by the board.
But it's being funded out of Colorado Springs General Fund?
No, it's being funded by Colorado Springs Parking Enterprise Fund. It is a separate dedicated fund. And if you, the fund can be used for streetscaping activities within the downtown core area.
But if you come back for us for additional funds, you can do that without doing this contract? I just don't, why is I don't understand why we're voting on this if it's funded through an enterprise that can fund without us.
In the future, there is a chance we would add PPRTA funds to it. So instead of having to bring a separate contract and processing a change order, I'm sorry, we would have to go and process a completely new contract if PPRT funds were going to be added in the future. This way it's set up in a contract form that has named PPRTA as a party, even though PPRTA is not contributing dollars. And what that sets us up, if we have a change order in the future that PPRTA dollars may be needed, we could come and bring that change order underneath this contract format.
So, but you'd be taking money. So this isn't a named project. So it's coming from a different funding.
It would likely come from our intersection improvements project because we are doing intersection work.
But we don't know that.
We don't know that now. We're not anticipating it right now based on the contract that we've negotiated, but there is a chance that it could be, and we would bring it back in the future if we needed to add PPRTA funds.
Why not fund it through the enterprise?
We may end up funding it through the enterprise. The enterprise had budgeted, I believe it was $3 million, and we used some for the construction contract, and then this is the construction management. So we are close to the end of the funds that have been allocated from the parking enterprise for this particular project.
Okay. To me, it just seems odd that we're doing something that we may not use from here to support a city enterprise. We're just supposed to pay for its own stuff. I think that's what the enterprises do, so.
Right, this particular project, we discussed the construction contract last month that had state grant fundings, two different sources of state grant fundings. It had PPRTA fundings in it, and it had the parking enterprise funds associated with it as well, along with monies from the downtown partnership. So it's just one of there could be other funds that have to be added in since it's a multi-funded source project in general.
Okay, that was a good question because Miss Ivy has a question.
Sorry, so I understand. So the PPRTA is a listed party? Is a named party that will sign the contract?
Yes.
And the funding as currently set out reflects that PPRTA has zero funding, but that might be changed in the future.
That's
in the
correct.
Contract.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any further questions on the city's contracts? All right. I guess we'll take a motion to vote to approve all of the city's contracts.
I'll move approval of the City of Colorado Springs contracts as presented. John Graham.
Mayor Dixon, second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'll abstain on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one abstention. The town of Rama has a contract. Is Rick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Cindy, by any chance, are you online or shall I present? Not hearing Cindy. The town of Rama is requesting board approval to use 20,000 of their maintenance funds towards a almost $58,000 tractor. Picture is shown there on the screen for road maintenance and snow removal. So the PPRTA share is about 35% of the total cost. Be glad to take any questions.
Yeah, are there any questions? Okay, I will take a
Mayor
motion.
Osborne,
Go ahead.
to give you a little more insight, it's also to replace a 1971 Ford tractor. Since I took over as mayor, we were trying to bring our town into safety issues, and this tractor that they use has no safety features. So I started with the town to get safety features in this last big snow we had. We spent 3 days, myself and the maintenance guy, going around shoveling people out by hand and with snow blowers. So that's what's behind this.
Thank you, sir.
Does the horse come with it? Okay. All right, I'll take a motion.
Yolanda, move to approve.
Okay,
Mayor Dixon, second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Our transit report, Lan.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, Line Rail Transit Division Manager. In your monthly packet is Transit's monthly report. We're tracking around 90% of the fixed route ridership year to date as of October. And we have been monitoring the American Public Transportation Association's report where they capture the national average. So for agencies our size, which is between 500,000 to 2 million population, the national average is about 73% as of November. So there's a little time difference, but we are still leading in terms of the ridership recovery, which really is contributed to the zero fare program that we were able to implement this year again. So in July and August, we participated in the state's zero fare program, and we captured some information under the transit highlight section. A question came up at the CAG class last month asking about the demographic information of the additional riders that we were able to carry during 3 months. And we did a little research into the information that we had. So for July and August, we saw 70% and 77% increase, mainly in adults section. So that is the largest increase we saw. And we also saw seniors increased 24% and 30% in July and August. But we also saw some decrease with people 18 and under, as well as people with disabilities. We don't know the exact reason, and there are some differences in how we collected data. When people use their monthly pass to ride, we have a lump sum category for special fare. Well, during 3 months, we relied heavily on the bus driver's judgment to determine whether this is an individual with disability, an individual who maybe under 18, over 18. So the measurement and how we capture the information is very different. But based on the information that we can find, the adult category, we saw the largest increase. We also looked at the survey that was conducted by the Colorado Transit Agency Association. From 141 survey results, 10% of those riders are new. However, the survey might not be representative of our community because they saw a large percentage of the survey respondents coming from Vail. So it might be there could be some discrepancy in that number as well. But that's the information, the best information we were able to capture. I would also like to share that tomorrow between 11 and 2 o'clock, we will be doing our rider appreciation event at our bus terminal tomorrow. So we will celebrate the holiday, we'll decorate the downtown terminal and celebrate the holidays with our riders. So it would be great if we could see you there tomorrow, and we'll share some pictures next month. That's all I have.
Any questions?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Councilmember.
Thank you, Chair, and Lynn, thank you for the report. How many routes do we have frequency on right now? A 15-minute frequency. Sorry.
15-minute frequency, we, as you know.
Can you talk into the mic?
Oh, sorry. Depending on the corridor or the exact route. For example, South Nevada, we have between 10 and 11 that we achieve 15-minute frequency on the corridor, but each route is not 15 minutes. So we have.
No, before I
Yes, the
remember
15
there were like 6 routes that had the 15-minute frequency. Is that still the case?
We have more.
How many do we have?
Let me double check and get you that information.
Like we have X amount of routes that have 15-minute frequency are eligible for it. So I want to know that. And then I want to know how many are actually at 15-minute frequency now, because like the 3 since COVID, right? It's not at 15, or is it yet? The 3, I think the 3 is Colorado Avenue. And I used to.
It's 30-minute frequency.
It's 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So it made it really easy for me to get the bus from City Hall to here and here to City Hall. So
it's 3 is 30-minute frequency. The challenge is we have
no
15-minute.
What I want to know before you answer those questions. How many 15-minute frequency routes do we have? And how many are we just because of bus situation,
and driver
our drivers, how many are actually en route? I just want to see if we're incrementally restoring those routes that have 15-minute frequency. Am I clear? Because
yes,
I'm not happy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where you were going. How many 15-minute frequency or better that we have scheduled, and how many routes we're actually able to provide the 15-minute service.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll get that information for you.
Oh, you don't have it now. Okay. But that would be really helpful. And I also want to know what we're doing, if we're doing everything in our power to get those restored, that frequency. I mean, I have to say for myself and for saving money for the city, I take an Uber, right? If I don't have my husband picking me up. And I felt like so independent and so like I could just leave and know that I can walk out here and get a bus, on myself and not have to rely on Randy to take me back to City Hall or Uber or whatever. It's always a hustle for me. It's a hustle like every freaking day to figure out how I'm going to get from point A to point B, from point B to point C. And so I'm not the only one, right? That's why I've always been transit has been huge for me because I'm not the only one. I represent lots of seniors, like the older people are up, right? I represent people with disabilities, and I represent people that just need to use the bus, and choice riders who refuse to use cars, as we're getting more and more of those. So it's really, I just want to stress to the board and to, Metro Mobility that it's so important. I mean, I think what I do is pretty important and serious, and to serve my community and to be able to have that. And I would like everybody else to have that. So I want to make sure that we do all in our power, because it's been lingering for a good while. And, COVID 2020, now we're 2025. And so I want to figure out how we can work on that, keep improving it, because that was my big thing. Even we were able to get things happening before I even got elected, because I was on it daily. And since I got elected, a little more. I'm really thrilled with the frequency, but now I know there's constraints with drivers and breakdowns in buses, but that only lasts so long because there's still people out there struggling, right?
Yep.
And so I just wanted to voice that.
Yeah, I do want to assure you that we are doing everything that we can in our power. The vehicle shortage situation has significantly improved. We hardly reduce any service those last couple months because of vehicle situation. And our vehicle down list has changed, it decreased from over 40 plus vehicles last year to about 20 this year. And the biggest challenge is still driver shortage. We do have liquidated damage in our contract that we exercise, holding the contractors accountable. And we have also been talking to their corporate, and they've been sending additional staff to help the local. But it is a Colorado situation they are seeing, especially here in Denver and in Colorado Springs. But I can assure you we're doing everything that we can.
And I know you are, Lan. I was very happy that you're running this department, and I know that you're doing your best. I just wanted to make sure the board knew how critical this is and how critical your work is. And I do trust that you're doing everything you can. And I'm just doing that push because I'm going to be gone in April. And I just want to get things in place as much as possible. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
Yeah, thank you. I think those are really important questions. I know I actually was talking to someone when I was visiting a doctor who would actually ride the bus if there were more. So I found that really interesting. And so I can't be a bus driver, sorry. So that's not in my post-commissioner career. I don't drive well as it is. Okay. You've never seen me back up. Sorry. But Commissioner Gonzalez can certainly apply to be a bus driver. Okay, now the 10B, the City of Colorado Springs update on South Academy projects. Here we go.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Gail Sturton with the City of Colorado Springs. I do just want to take a step back even beyond a little bit from what's in the memo, just to kind of remind some folks maybe what happened that Director Avila mentioned. The two South Academy projects, they were in the CIP for PPRTA 2, and they were programmed later in the area, later in that 10-year cycle. A lot of it had to do with a lot of cash flow, so that just the value, looking at the value of those two projects was over $60 million. And if you look at the city's annual capital budget, it is about, for PPRTA projects, is about $60 million, give or take, depending on how good the year is going. So it was programmed that in when I joined. The engineering consultant was just being selected in 2020, and there was a lot of due diligence that needed to be done to get that project in place. We kept hearing, though, there was a need in the community, so we actually did the RFP for a construction contractor this first time that had the construction plans for the north segment, so from Airport to Bijou, ready to go, hard bid, with a 90% set of plans for the south segment. So we could bring the contractor on, help with construction phasing. It was intended to be able to address some of the issues that we occurred with access during construction phasing, just overall traffic through that area. Our construction contractor at the time came in and covered some challenges just with the project. There's been a plethora of things with underground conditions, more age utility infrastructure than was anticipated. I think if you may recall, or maybe you don't, of that $60 million project, Colorado Springs Utilities had over $9 million in new utility upgrades that was added into the project as well. Because if we were going to go do this work in South Academy, the important thing was to bring that utility infrastructure along at the same time. So they've been progressing, or the contractor did progress with the north phase of work and had some struggles just because of the things that I mentioned in that area. And it is difficult work working into that kind of traffic volume in general. Because we did have to come to a firm fixed price agreement on the south segment, we did not come to a resolution with the construction contractor. I think that they realized likely that they way underbid the work. And so we could not come to an agreeable price on the south segment. And with the rate construction was progressing in the north segment, we really, both the contractor and the city, thought it was in our best interest to come up with a different approach that was be more advantageous for our residents. So this is why we are in the process of closing out our contract with Ames, which was our construction contractor. And our intent is in the first quarter of 2025 is to put a new RFP out with the best value contractor selection so we can get the best qualified contractor at the most advantageous price with our contract. And we're putting more stipulations in there about the construction phasing and maintaining the access to business, and really emphasize the things that they're already in our contract, but emphasize the things that we really saw as a struggle as the work has proceeded at this time. I will also share with you, and it's included in my memo, we did receive a request for equitable adjustment for Ames, also known as a claim. We think we are at the end stages of negotiating the settlement related to that claim, and we're anticipating having a final closeout change order with that contractor either in January or February. Assuming that everything stays with where they are today, you'll see that then. Regardless of if we close out that contract, we plan on proceeding and getting a new construction contractor in to do that south phase work. As of right now, other than some minor punch list items on the north segment, everything is really buttoned up in that area for now. So that's just a really high level overview. And I try to hit some of the other things I know that were concerning to you, Director. So if there's other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, that was one of my questions. If we were having to wait until everything was settled with Ames before moving on with a new contractor. But what I heard you say is that we can move forward with another contractor.
Our intent is to do this closeout change order in parallel. The only thing, if there's something we fall through on the agreement we've come to with the contractor, we may have to delay it. But I think that right now we should be able to do those two things in parallel. And when those two things are one, we're bringing that closeout change order. Like I said, we're anticipating in January, February. It will likely be February. And then do this request for proposals with our construction contractors so we can have a new contractor stood up and ready to start construction in the spring.
So, and I know like it takes a village. It's not, you just happen to be the person that's answering the questions, right, Gail?
Yes.
I get that it's a whole team involved in this. And so do you have a timeline for it? Let's say it starts in the spring, April, let's just say. How long do you think it'll take?
So that is a really good question. Right now we would anticipate from an engineer's perspective, and I'm going to qualify this, that it would be done towards the end of 2026.
So a year and a half?
Yes. But I want to make sure that it's clear that it's the engineer's perspective. And one of the things when we go through this RFP for the construction contracts, one of the things we're going to be weighting very heavily is going to be approach to construction and construction phasing and their schedule. So those are the things that we're going to be seeing that there's value that they're going to be bringing in. So we may not end up with the lowest price contractor if there's one that's close to the same price that has a much better approach or much better schedule that's advantageous. And they have a proven track record to be able to deliver on those timelines. So that's why we're taking this different procurement approach. than
Yeah,
we
you
have the
get what
first
you
time.
pay for, right?
We did get what we paid for.
So with utilities, and I know the city, because we're on the board of utilities, CSU, and since, wow, we started this even when Jerry Forte was our CEO, making sure that utilities and the city were collaborating and making, when they knew something was going to come up, they were going there much earlier to get that fixed, right? Especially with 2C. It's actually when 2C came around to make sure that any work that needed to be done underground by utilities was already set, but that wasn't the case. I think that was one of the issues then, right? That utilities hadn't done their work. I mean, that happened with the bridge at Spring Creek.
Yeah.
So let me just finish here. So has utilities done all their work on from Fountain to Milton Proby?
Yes, they have, and their plans are included with our package that would be going out for bid. The one thing and this is somewhat in utilities defense because they do coordinate very heavily with this.
Yeah,
one of the
coordinate.
issues they did not have the budget to go through. They desire to go through and replace the water line systems in Academy. It wasn't until ARPA funds became available that really made it possible for them to be able to incorporate the water line. So they had to catch that up with the rest of the project in this particular case. So there were some delays in the engineering process because of that effort. But they had money
And a
that came in and
sinkhole,
they
huh?
wanted it to do it. But sorry, what was that, Counselor?
I said in a sinkhole. That was it.
Yes, yeah, we do have a lot of historic utility, not necessarily Colorado Springs utilities, but let's just say historic utility conditions and subsurface soil conditions that are making things problematic or have made things problematic.
So at this point, is Colorado Springs Utilities done with most of the work on both the northern section and the southern section?
They
Or
are
does
done with their work on the northern section only.
Okay, so the new contract will start with the southern utilities work hopefully
But
first.
the utilities work is included with the roadway package. Academy
Okay.
Boulevard is a very busy roadway. And
Uh-huh.
so we've coordinated, we bought their plans right in with us, and it's actually one of the phases of the construction.
Okay, so I didn't hear that. I thought, what I heard was that utilities had already completed theirs, but it's part of the package.
They
Okay.
completed the engineering work, the construction that's being installed by the contractors. The north segment is done, the south segment will need to be done with this new contractor.
So we could really be looking at 2 years. Right.
That is a viable situation.
Okay, thank you, Gail.
Thank you.
Okay, we appreciate the update. That's been an area I've tried to avoid. So
It looks great though right now if you go out there.
well, see, yeah, but that's, hopefully that will go well. 10C, the City of Colorado Springs Monthly Change Order Report.
The report and the real estate transaction log is available in your packet. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address those.
Are there any questions? Okay, then we'll go on to 10D, City of Colorado Springs Powers North reimbursement update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What I've provided for you is the latest update of costs that have been incurred for the Powers and Voyager interchange. As of December 4th, we had reviewed and approved a total of just over $14.7 million of activities for that bridge project that are eligible for reimbursement underneath the agreement between the city, the county, PPRTA, and the Copper Ridge Metro District. Underneath that agreement, just over $14 million will be allocated towards PPRTA, and just over $700,000 would be coming from Colorado Springs Utilities. I will mention to you on the front page of that memo, I am anticipating getting some direct relocation costs from Colorado Springs Utilities that the city would be reimbursing directly out of their PPRTA funds as opposed to running them through that reimbursement agreement. So there is the potential for up to another $1.9 million. One thing that's not in this memo, I just wanted to make sure that you are aware that with the budget approval today, between the city and the county, we have $12.15 million allocated in our 25 budget as outlined in the reimbursement agreement for distribution back to the Copper Ridge Metro District for the costs they've incurred. So I just wanted to mention that two things related to that, because right now, just from the statement, they would be receiving just over $14 million for the costs they've incurred to date. There's only going to be $12.15 million available in 25. So there will continue to be some carryover reimbursements that will happen in 25. And the reality is there's going to be some reimbursements likely to Copper Ridge through the entirety of PPRTA 3, the way that reimbursement agreement's laid out. But I want just to give you an update where we are on this particular project right now.
Okay, any questions or comments?
One quick question.
Go ahead,
for
Councilman.
Gail. Any kind of specific date when all 4 lanes will be completed on the Voyager Powers overpass?
They keep telling me the end of the year, which, you know, is getting pretty close.
Okay, all right, thank you. There's tip for everybody out there. The bridge is open.
The bridge is open.
But it's a 4 lane, 2 lanes each way. Right now, there's only 1 lane each way. So
Yeah.
because they're finishing up on the edges and sides.
Yeah, they got to do bridge railing, minor stuff to really put all the safety features
Right,
in
thank
place.
you.
They better put street lighting in too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And bike lanes. Okay. 10E, the City of Colorado Springs, North Nevada reimbursement update.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. You guys are going to be tired from hearing from me today, but this is good news. As you recall, we have a reimbursement agreement between PPRTA and the City of Colorado Springs, and it was really to advance those 2 segments of North Nevada Avenue, and really between the 2, they run from the Rock Island Trail up to the Templeton Gap. And when we had the ability to purchase some right-of-way that belonged to the BNSF railways. And so we put the reimbursement agreement, and we have closed on the purchase of the project. We have some final things like closing costs, and we have to put fence up in some of the areas on it. But right now, through December 4th, the total amount that could be reimbursed underneath that agreement is $2,337,502.68. And that reimbursement agreement was planned for upwards of $3.1 million. So we'll be coming in well below that. But you won't see it much more than what it is today.
Thank you. We appreciate that. All right, let's do El Paso County. Josh, we need to let you speak today.
Thank you, Josh Palmer, County Engineer. So we have like the city, an update on the county's South Academy project. I asked Brett Hartzell to come and give you an update. He was recently promoted to our engineering manager, but one of his conditions and stipulations to accept the job was to remain as the project manager for the project, which of course we said, absolutely. So Brett is going to give you an update, and he'll be willing to answer any questions that you may have.
Does that mean we stole him from the city?
No. He was he'd been working for the county for how long now, Brett?
Around 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've been trying for a while to convince him to take on more responsibility. He finally did, but with the stipulation that he would remain the project manager for the duration of this project, just because of he likes all the extra work apparently.
Okay, that's wonderful. We love to hear that.
I like to finish things I start. So
Okay.
I wanted to try to get it complete before I really one foot out the door with managing too many projects. But I'm Brett Hartzell. I'm the project manager for the South Academy Widening Project. I've got a brief update. Some of this information early on is kind of basics. I won't spend too much time on it, and then I'll get into kind of progress and where we're at currently. So some background, you probably know most of this. The project is from west of I-25 to the city of Colorado Springs and El Paso County boundary, just south of Milton E. Proby. The length of the project is about 2 miles. This project really includes everything from intersection improvements, interchanges, winding bridges over Bradley Road. rehabbing bridges over Fountain Creek and US 85, 87, roadway lighting, signal improvements, signing, striping, stormwater improvements, which is a heavy portion of the project, noise walls, and scour improvements within Fountain Creek. The designers at AECom, the construction management team, and also the testing is done through Wilson. SEMA Construction is the contractor, and Bachman PR is helping with PIO. So the total budget for the project is 72.2 million. The actual construction budget, 60 million. The PPRTA budget, 67 million, because we got about 5.2 million in state and federal funding as well. That is filling that gap. Currently, the project is on budget. The project schedule, the construction began in September 2023 and is scheduled to be complete by early 2026. We are currently about halfway done with the project, and we are still on schedule to finish within that time. So kind of a brief breakdown of what's been done so far. So the scour work, the planned scour work is complete. We got about 60% of the roadway widening work done, about 75% of the drains work done, and that's really a heavy part of this. The contractor, used to joke that this is really a drainage project just because of how much cost is in the drainage due to the amount of storm lines, the depth that some of them are at, water quality vaults, all of that. We got about 85% of the Bradley widening done, the Bradley Bridge widening done, about 50% of the bridge rehab work done, and 65% of the noise wall complete. So currently we're installing the noise wall between Hartford and Fountain Creek. Also continue to widen the roadway. We're widening to the middle. Right now, crews are working on the outside. We got traffic shifted to the middle. Installing multiple drainage lines, and we're doing grout soil stabilization for boring under BNSF Railroad, which I'll get into that in a moment a bit more. So this project has had its fair share of obstacles and difficulties that they've had to overcome, and I credit to having just a really good project team to be able to get through all of these and remain still on track and on budget. But the first difficulty is that it's a busy road. So we have to take into account how do we phase the project? When do we close roads? When do we close lanes? How much nighttime and weekend work that we do? We've had months where it's continuous around the clock weekend work. So the contractor really has been pushing hard to make sure we stay on schedule. Also, when doing some of the scour work, we had little sensors on to make sure that if there was any movement in the bridge, that we would detect it. When we found slight movement, wasn't a big surprise. We thought that could happen, but we had to stop and get temporary shoring and then do some permanent repairs. We've had extensive utility relocations. Some of it we've known, and it's just been difficult to get the utility companies out there to relocate per their initial schedule that they give us. Others are just where we find new lines, and then we have to track down, is this active? Whose is it? If it's active, now what's next? Where can this go? What kind of time frame does that take? Also, other things too, like when we were milling the bridges over Fountain Creek, we found out some of the bridge plug joints were kind of deteriorating. So then we had to stop and come up with a plan on how to fix that. Also, we had difficulties with just permitting with BNSF. Anytime you're working within their right of way, you got to follow by their rules, and permitting with them is difficult. Any slight change to the permit can take months at least. And often you think you're done, and then they come back and there's one more thing that you have to do. So that's been something we've had to work through. Then in addition with BNSF, we're jack and boring a large drainage line. Since we're widening the road, we need a wider, a larger pipe. So we were basically pushing this large pipe underneath the railroad, and then we've got some slight settlement there. So then we had to stop and coordinate with BNSF and, okay, well, what can we do to stabilize the soil? They don't allow much, with the exception of they do allow grout injection to stabilize the soil. So now we're doing that. And another difficulty with that too is you have to follow BNSF's schedule. So they'll say, okay, well, you may want to work 10 hours this day. We can give you a 7-hour window. And also we'll give you a 15-minute heads up sometimes when the train's coming. Then you have to stop, pull out, let the train pass, get back in there. So it's not the easiest conditions to work in. So what to expect the next few months? I'm going to continue with the noise wall installation between Hartford and Fountain Creek, continue with the road widening work, continue with the installation of the multiple drainage lines that we're doing. Usually we've got the contractor out there doing 2 or 3 lines at a time. We'll be resuming the bridge rehab work, and then we'll start some signal work over at I-25 by the on-ramps soon. And then with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? We appreciate the update. Okay, thank you very much. And El Paso County's monthly change order is in the file.
And like the city, the update, not much of an update, but the update's in there. I'm willing to answer any questions you may have.
All right, we're just about ready to get Beacon Light Road started, which was a project in the a B-list project in the original Pikes PPRTA. So we're excited about that. Item 10H, quarterly reports for member governments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just an information item. These are the quarterly reports from the 6 member governments for the 3rd calendar quarter in 2024. Be glad to take any questions.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay. All right. Item 11B is the appointment and reappointment for Citizens Advisory Committee members. We met and interviewed new members for our Citizens Advisory Committee, and they are in the packet. Rick, did you have anything to say?
Just to cover the list, the slate that the subcommittee is recommending to the full board, there are 5. Jim Godfrey to be reappointed to a second 3-year term as an at-large regular member. Mr. Russell McPadden to be reappointed to a second 2-year term as an at-large alternate member. Karen Asplin, who was a CAC representative from CTAB, but is term limited at CTAB, has asked to come back as an at-large alternate member, and the subcommittee is recommending yes for a first 2-year term as an at-large alternate. And then there were 2 at-large alternate vacancies for several months, and we advertised and had 2 applicants, Mr. Jeff Snelling and a Mr. Jamie Smith, and the subcommittee's recommending that the board approve appointing those 2 gentlemen to their first 1-year term as an at-large alternate, and it has to be 1 year because the CAC bylaws stipulate staggered terms, and we can't have all the alternates terms coming up at the same time. So Jeff Snelling and Jamie Smith are requesting to be appointed to their first 1-year term as at-large alternate members. All of these would be effective January 1st. That's the subcommittee's recommendation to the full board.
Okay, are there any questions? I'll take a motion to approve the new CAC members.
Mayor Dixon also move.
Councilwoman Avila, second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you. Appointment and reappointment to the Board of Directors. Jennifer or Rick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is just a reminder that the board directors, per the board bylaws, need to be reappointed by your respective governing bodies in writing to me, please, by January 8th, so that you can be legal to be a board director, because the bylaws stipulate that terms are the calendar year, January 1st to December 31st. So please do pursue that. And also just a reminder that the board will need to select its chair and vice chair at your January 8th meeting. And the chair and vice chair rotate between the city of Colorado Springs and El Paso County. And since El Paso County has the chairmanship this year, that means city of Colorado Springs will have the chairmanship next year, with the county having the vice chairmanship. Also, the board will need to select a board secretary. Any questions?
I was just going to say the county scrambled a little bit, so we will have on our agenda on Tuesday to make sure we have at least 2 county individuals here to vote. Do you have Randy, are you guys going to be able to get that done?
We've already done it. So we did it yesterday.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just one of the weird years when our swearing in date is not until the 14th. And so we meet before our swearing in date. So, but we have it on the agenda. We'll have at least 2 of us, which means we need healthy representation from our cities as well, so that we can make sure we have a quorum. So,
yeah, we voted, I think it was on consent yesterday.
Okay.
For the 3 of us to remain on. So
Awesome.
a letter for that.
Are there any
Just wanna
agenda?
Congratulate you on your overachievement there of getting it done early.
Thank you.
We're just better than the county.
Ooh, ooh, that was tough. Okay, are there any agenda topics for the next meeting?
I think I did note at the lunch meeting, Rick realized and pointed out to me that the bylaws for the PPRTA still only recognize 9 members. It's not a fatal flaw, but we have 10 members. So we have that cleanup item to address, and then we're just going to take a look at them and see if there's anything else. It will take 2 readings, I think 2 months to get those passed per the bylaws, but just an FYI of why that's going to be on your agenda.
And we had another version of the establishing IGA go out. Okay.
Yeah, and we're tracking those. I have not.
All right.
I think yesterday I hear 6. The 6th amended and restated. Yeah.
Yes.
I think we beat you by a week.
Uh-oh.
I believe Manitou got ours done in early November, so I think we're ahead of you.
Oh, yay. Yep. All right. If there's no other member announcements, we wish everybody a happy holidays and we will adjourn. Thank you, Commissioner Gonzalez. We're adjourned.